Just because someone makes you feel good does not mean that they're a good partner for you. This is something that a lot of people need to remind themselves of because I see so many people enter into long-term relationships with someone just because that person makes them feel good. But that is not a good indicator of that person actually being a good partner. It doesn't tell you anything about them being loyal, about them being caring, about them being kind, or basically about them being someone who would be a good match for you. All it tells you about them is that they're fun and that they're somebody who you enjoy spending time with. That's it. That's all it tells you. So never use that as the sole basis for making the decision to enter into a long-term situation with someone you've just met. You have to remind yourself of this, especially you ladies. I'm going to single you out here because I do know that this tends to affect you more than men because women are just more emotional than men. And with that, you're going to pay more attention to the way a man makes you feel as opposed to thinking a bit more logically about how he may be a good partner for you. And that's okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. You just need to keep that in mind and remind yourself that just because a man can make you feel good for 5 minutes or however long you spend time with him, that doesn't necessarily mean that man is going to be good for you. Men have an easier go of this because we usually will fall more for a woman's looks than how she makes us feel, although men probably should pay more attention to how a woman makes her feel as well. Just again, not putting all this priority on that because you do at some point have to think about your relationship partners from a logical standpoint. You can't base all those decisions off of emotions. That's how you end up making bad decisions in the long run. And I know this can be difficult because relationships so often are emotional based, even for us guys. We fall in love with people, and love is an emotion. It's not something we think about logically, but you can end up falling in love with someone who isn't good for you, and that's okay, it happens. But yet again, try to remind yourself to always analyze your partners from a logical perspective. Take a step back, start thinking, clearing your head, get into a sort of meditative state and start thinking about that person and analyzing them. Are they good for you? Are they someone you could see being loyal, or do you think they have some warning signs that they may cheat on you? Do they have any red flags? Are they caring? Have they shown that they actually give a shit about you? Genuinely too, that they genuinely care about you. Are they kind? Do they treat service workers with respect and kindness? That's a huge sign right there because if somebody is rude to people who they believe are below them, then that's not a good partner. That's a shitty person, and you do not want to enter into a long-term relationship with a person like that because eventually the way that they treat those service workers, like waitresses for example, they're probably going to treat you in a similar manner at some point. So just know that. That is a huge red flag. But basically my point here is you need to be logical with the people you choose to enter into long-term relationships with. You don't need to apply this to short-term flings, so I'm not saying that. But for long-term relationships, you definitely do, because these are the situations where you open yourself up to being hurt, to allowing someone to negatively impact your personality. Basically, you give someone the keys to your heart, and with that, they can start pumping in all sorts of insecurities if you don't protect yourself well. So this is part of protecting your heart. You have to logically analyze people before you make long-term decisions involving them. So always think beyond the way someone makes you feel. Any person can make you feel good under the right circumstances. Does that mean that they're going to be good for you? Hell no. It just doesn't. I'm speaking from my own experience, but also the experience of watching others. I knew some guys growing up who I knew they were my friends. But this don't get mad at me for befriending people like this. I was young and naive, but they weren't the best of guys, and I knew that. I knew that. So watching them, they were very good at making women feel good. Well, actually, at the time they were girls. We weren't adults yet, but they were very good at making girls feel good. They could tell them what they wanted to hear and that sort of thing, have fun dates with them. But these guys were not good long-term partners. In fact, fast forwarding up till now, these guys actually proved to not be very good at even holding women down for long term. So there you go. But my point is, you have to look beyond the way someone makes you feel. Or at least you can't just focus on the fact that they make you feel good and how exciting that is. You have to find depth to their character beyond that. So this video is kind of just a reminder for that. You have to keep telling yourself about this when you're dating people, because you just don't want to fall into that trap of basically being won over by someone because they make you feel good, even though there are red flags and other things about them that are warning signs that you need to pay attention to. So always remind yourself that, hey, just because this person makes me feel good doesn't quite mean that they'd be good for me. So I need to take a step back and start thinking about them and analyzing them from a logical perspective, and then see how they, I guess, size up. So anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!